Welcome everyone. This is Robert Seigan for ISA 4220 for Professor Green. Today we're going to be talking about databases. All right, well first we're going to talk about Windows databases and what databases are just in general. Um, First, creation of databases. Databases have evolved since the interception of the 1960s, beginning with the hierarchy and the network databases. Through the 1980s with some object-oriented databases and some with SQL and non-SQL databases and cloud-based databases. Right now, databases rank amongst the most significant structural elements of the World Wide Web. Lying on the basis of the majority of the content-driven websites and applications, databases serve a special mission. For the World Wide Web, it provides a well-organized mechanism for data manipulation. The database approach in websites and applications also developed now rules the web by offering a quick and automated way for the information to be stored, managed, and deleted, and retrieved. All right, so what it comes down to was what is a database? A database is a table consisting of columns and rows where each column contains a specific attribute and each row featuring a certain value for the corresponding attribute. While the number of rows is defined by the quantity of the objects that have to be introduced, categorize records for the kind of simple organization of the database tables allows for a computer program to quickly select and handle the necessary piece of information. So pretty much a database is just, you can almost think of it like an Excel spreadsheet where just bits of information is, you got rows and columns, and you can insert whatever you want, addresses, numbers, prices, people's information, and it's just a quicker way of compiling data and putting it in one secure location that everybody can access, even throughout the web. Next, we have the Database Management System, or DBMS. This communication between a database and computer programs working with them is executed through a database management system, or DBMS. The latter represents a set of software programs that accept data requested from the application program and instructs the operating system how to handle the requested information. That's what the DBMS does. This is done through a variety of control operations that the DBMS supports, such as organizing, storing, deleting, or retrieving the data in a database. These actions are executed through specific SQL commands. Users can easily add data categories, attributes to the database without causing system interruption through the DBMS. You also have small and large database systems. Databases can either be single user or multi-user. Single user databases exist on single computers and is accessible only from that one single computer. Many single user databases exist, and there are a number of commercial database manufacturers that address this market. But a multi-user database may exist on a single machine, such as a mainframe or other powerful computers, or it may be distributed and exist on multiple computers. Multi-user databases are accessible from multiple computers simultaneously at one time. There are multiple uses for databases. Just to put some examples out, you got customer management databases, or CRMs. A customer relations management database can help small businesses manage the lifeblood of its business and its customers. It can organize all the information a company has about its accounts, contacts, leads, and new opportunities. Another one is inventory tracking. Inventory tracking database can tell a retail business how much inventory is in a warehouse, when something comes off a shelf, if something's out is been shipped out, um, anything of that sort. You can track it by if it's computer equipment, you can track it by MAC addresses if you want, serial numbers, however you want to track it. You can also have personal databases, which you can track your contacts, phone numbers, um, DVD collections, even. You can create any type of database you want and to track anything. We can talk about Linux databases now. Pretty much, they use Linux databases use MySQL, which is designed to allow data to be stored in different ways. These methods referred to as either database or storage engines. There are two main engines that you'll be interested in when it comes to MySQL. It'll either be InnoDB and MyISAM. Storage engines are transparent to the end user. MySQL will handle things differently under the surface, but regardless to which storage engine is used, you will interact with the database in the same way. First, let's look at MyISAM. This is older of the two. It can be faster than InnoDB under certain circumstances, and favors read-only workloads. MyISAM also supports the full text data type, which allows very fast search and large quantities of text data. MyISAM is only capable of locking an entry table for writing, which means only one process can update the table at a time. So you can't log into multiple at one time and update information in the same database at the same time, only one person at a time. It also lacks journaling, which makes it harder for data to be recovered after a crash. InnoDB is a more modern database engine designed to be ACID compliant. Write locking can occur on lower level basis within a table. That means multiple users can occur on the single table simultaneously. So multiple users can log in, multiple users can write and update the database at one time. It does meet ACID compliance. All transactions are journaled independently of the main tables. This is much more reliable data recovery. Data consistent can be checked. So since it is ACID compliant, just in case something does crash or something does happen to the server, it's a lot easier to pull the data back. When setting up a database for the first time, you might want to use Percana's MyCNF generating tool. You probably want to use this for the first time when you first set it up. Otherwise, it'll generate its own CNF. And if you've already done that and you have data in it, then you don't want to use this technique. But it's a useful tool to set up for initial setup. This tool will help generate a MyCNF file that will allow much more optimized for your specific server capabilities and your requirements. And then you definitely want to use the MySQL Tuner. MySQL Tuner is it's a tool that pretty much connects to a running MySQL instance that offers suggestions on how it can best configure your workload. So this is something you definitely probably want to implement if you are going to create a database system, and it will basically optimize your database and you know how it works and how it flows and how the data flows in and out to make it more efficient. First thing you want to do when you're hardening a database, whether it's Windows or Linux, you want to ensure the physical database itself is in a secured room, a locked environment with access control, so you can keep unauthorized people away from the server itself. Next thing you want to do is you definitely want to put a firewall in and limit the access of people getting to the database itself. Basically, the firewall just will pretty much deny access to traffic by default, so no one can get in and just change anything or get information off it. Another good security thing to do here would be to encrypt the data that's on the actual database. Ensure that also you want to ensure that the backup is also encrypted and stored separately from the decryption key, as well as encrypted data at rest. It also is important to ensure confidential data is encrypted and motion over your network to protect against database security threats. Minimize the value of the database pretty much just means make sure you don't have any confidential information on the database itself. Make sure that all the information is encrypted, and just be wary of what you put on the database and what you don't put on the database. Managing access, it's a good practice to aim for the least number of people possible to have access to the database. Also, you should set up strong passwords. Password hashes should be stored, encrypted, and salted. Accounts should be locked after 3 or 4 login attempts to the server. And also, you want to proceed to put into place to ensure that accounts that are deactivated when a staffer leaves or moved into different roles. And of course, you want to audit and monitor the server at all times. Like I said, you always want to make sure who's logging in, what time they're logging in, see if there's any weird behaviors of somebody that might not be working at that time, and all of a sudden you see somebody logging on at that time on a constant basis. At least you have a log and you can approach them with that to see if they are logging into it or not at that time, or somebody else might be using their password and profile to get in there to see your information. Linux database hardening. You want to try the best you can running only MySQL on the server, like on its own dedicated server if you can. At least this would help, and it's not taking down multiple computers at one time if you're having it operating with other programs and other applications on the same server. So if you can, have it run on a specific server by itself. Again, firewalls limit the access by IP addresses to only the server clients that require access. User privileges. When creating a user, always give the minimal amount of privileges and expand as they go. You don't want to give them everything at once. Next, we have enable logging. So you always want to enable logging to see who's coming in, who's going out, what information they're looking at, just to make sure, keep a log and keep track of who's coming in and who's going. When it comes to root accessibility, it's best to have it locally only, where the person actually has to physically walk into the secured room and access the database right there in front of the computer, instead of being able to SSH in from a remote location. This way, if somebody does get a hold of that IP address, they're not trying to hack through the person or the root password to get access to your database. So this way, there's no reason why anybody should be able to be from an external computer, be able to get to your internal computer and have complete privileges. You also want to use the MySQL Secure installation. This utility, which it does a number of things, including removing anonymous user accounts and removes the testing databases